So Kyrsten Sinema is continuing to be one of the worst people on the planet. She is destroying the reconciliation bill 1,000 Ways to Sunday, along with Joe Manchin, and probably along with a couple others behind the scenes who like to be quiet and like to let Manchin and Sinema take fire for them. So Kyrsten Sinema went to a wedding, and while at the wedding, some protesters found out she was there, and they went there and they protested her. So I'm going to show you this video here. Hopefully I don't get some sort of copyright strike for this video, because it is a cell phone video that somebody recorded, and oftentimes you post something like this and they copyright strike you, or they jack the revenue or whatever. But I feel like it's important and you have to see it, which is why I'm doing the segment. But you're going to see the mother of the bride basically pleading with these people, hey, it's my daughter's wedding, you know, this isn't about Kyrsten Sinema, whatever, all that stuff. So I want to show you the video, then I'm going to come back and discuss it.
Could you just go down to the corner for an hour? How about it's my daughter's wedding? Sure. Just for an hour. Just let her get married, please. This person is not my daughter. My daughter's getting married.
Will you tell her that?
Did you invite Sinema really here?
No, listen.
Tell her that we don't like what she's doing to our country.
How did you invite this woman?
You know what? Tell her.
We corrupted the whole country.
Tell her.
I don't disagree with any of you people with your point of view and your rights. It's my daughter's wedding.
So throw her out.
Please just go down to the corner for 1 hour. Please. It's my daughter's wedding. Just 1 hour. Could you just
Leave. Sinema, leave if you have anything. Leave.
It's not. She's not my friend. She's not my guest.
We'll leave if you leave.
Can I just make a compromise? We're protesting cinema. We're not protesting this bride. Let's just shut our mouths now. Let the ceremony begin. We can walk quietly with our signs.
It's my daughter.
I know.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be quiet.
They have a right to protest. Stop talking to them. Don't let her go back in and play with her millionaires.
I mean,
I fought for your fucking right to protest. Thank you. So you go back inside. See your millionaire buddies. Thank you.
I don't know why, but I love that person who comes up at the end. I fought for your fucking right to protest. Now you go back inside with your millionaire buddies. I love that person. Anyway, so what ended up happening is these protesters listened, and they abided by the wishes of the distraught mother, and they basically stopped for an hour, as she asked them to do. They were quiet. They didn't interrupt the ceremony. And then after that, my understanding is they sort of went back to doing what they were doing. Now, obviously, so right-wingers got a hold of this video, and, you know, I'm outraged. They were outraged in the same way that they were outraged when the Kyrsten Sinema bathroom protesters followed her and didn't record her doing anything in the stall, of course. That would be illegal if they did that. They didn't do that. They just were like, hey, we can't get a meeting with you. We've tried to get a meeting with you to discuss our concerns. Apparently, they needed $5,300 to get a meeting with her because Sinema only meets with lobbyists and they pay her that much to see her. So they were demanding accountability from somebody who's supposed to represent them, and now they're being threatened with prosecution. Police want to prosecute them for disorderly conduct or whatever. I mean, it's outrageous, and anybody who fed into the hysteria and acted like, this is so outrageous. No, what's outrageous is Kyrsten Sinema taking over $900,000 from Big Pharma and then opposing lower drug prices. She used to run on lowering drug prices. Now she's against lowering drug prices. Disgustingly corrupt. People will die as a result of that. I'm way more outraged by that than a breach of decorum for 15 seconds, okay? So, what's my grand takeaway from this story? Ultimately, I think it worked out as good as it possibly could have, because the protesters were very nice and very reasonable, and they stopped for the ceremony so that this, you know, girl's wedding wouldn't be ruined. And then they went right back to protesting Kyrsten Sinema. And you know what? Kyrsten Sinema shouldn't be able to go anywhere without this happening to her. She shouldn't. So I think all these people are heroes, and I think they did the right thing. So don't, it's that famous old Malcolm X quote, if you're not careful, the media will have you loving your oppressors and hating the oppressed. Same thing here. Why are they protesting? Because she's destroying the bill. Because she's corrupt. Because she's serving Big Pharma. Because she's taking out all these wonderful provisions. That's why they're protesting her, because lives depend on protesting her and getting her to do the right thing. Now, by the way, my message to the mother, and she didn't do anything wrong. She felt bad. It was her daughter's wedding. She didn't want the wedding to be ruined and all that stuff. I totally get all that. But here's what you do. You go in there and you say, hey, Kyrsten, people are protesting outside because of you. I'm going to have to ask you to leave the wedding. And guess what? Kyrsten Sinema is so narcissistic and selfish and vain and just every negative personal characteristic you can attribute to her, she's that. She would have actually felt that. And she would have been like, my God. So what? She fancies herself some sort of like brave maverick or whatever. No, you're not a brave maverick. You're a corrupt sellout goon. And that might actually get her to start rethinking what she's doing here. Now, would it change her entire approach to politics? No. But if everywhere she goes, she's a pariah, you're telling me Kyrsten Sinema, wants to be a pariah? No, she wants to be loved and she wants to be celebrated as some sort of maverick and hero in the footsteps of John McCain or whatever. And so if everywhere she went, she got this sort of energy, that has the potential to make her at least a little bit less shitty. And these people are doing what they should be doing in a democracy. Nobody should be sitting back and accepting the fact that a very powerful senator just decided to take over $900,000 from Big Pharma and kill lower drug prices. Because of her corruption, people will die. That's a fucking outrage. And guess what? These protesters are right to be outraged by it, and they're right to take action. And you know what? If sometimes you got to step on some toes and violate civility and decorum in order to do the right thing, well, so be it. So be it. And again, I want to reiterate, because people don't tell you what happened after this. What happened after this is they listened to the distraught mother because they felt bad for the bride, and they were quiet for an hour. And then after that, they went back to what they were doing. So everybody wins. Everybody wins in this scenario. The wedding wasn't ruined, and they got to continue to protest Kyrsten Sinema and make her look like the corrupt, sellout asshole that she is. So more of this. More of this. Thank you to these protesters for not sitting back and just taking it like a lot of people in the country. Thank you for standing up and fighting for our rights and fighting to save lives and fighting to, hang on to the provisions that really matter. They stripped out paid family leave from the reconciliation bill. Lower drug prices, as we discussed. Expanded Medicare coverage for dental and vision, now gone. Free community college, gone. Increased the top corporate tax rate, that's now gone. Anybody who's destroying this bill, Manchin, Sinema, behind the scenes, probably Warner and some others, they shouldn't be able to go anywhere in public without getting protested, in the same way that Dick Cheney and George W. Bush shouldn't be able to go anywhere without being called war criminals, in the same way that Donald Trump should be able to go anywhere without being called a war criminal. We have to demand accountability. There's this old saying, I think it was from a documentary I watched, but in France, the politicians are scared of the people. In the U.S., the people are scared of the politicians. It's time to flip that dynamic, and that's what they're doing. So don't fall for the propaganda. Don't fall for the, right-wing shrieking. Oh, the civility and decorum. Oh, the civility and decorum. Oh, no. Why can't you be polite? If this was a bunch of right-wingers protesting Biden, they'd be like, yes, hero. If it was Hunter Biden was at a wedding and he was being protested by right-wingers in the same fashion, they'd be like, yes, these are American heroes. Just because it's a bunch of lefties protesting, they're all of a sudden they're fake outrage. Don't be outraged by this. I told you it all worked out in the end, and these people are doing the right thing. Everywhere Kyrsten Sinema goes, everywhere Joe Manchin goes, they should face accountability for their actions. Don't physically hurt them. Don't break any laws, but this is free speech. This is free protest. I support the First Amendment. I support accountability from our politicians, and you should too.